Hello my wonderful audience over there. Today I will be making some art and I'm going to try to make good art out of these bad pictures. Making good art out of bad pictures, you know. These are overexposed photographs taken out of fashion clothes. Uh, I'm going to leave that as a mystery, like how these are actually done, you know. But yeah, they are overexposed photographs, they have movement in them and that kind of stuff. I might show you in some other video how I actually took the pictures, but not in this one. This one is more about the modification process. But all of this is taken by me on a camera. And I actually had this new camera that I tested. These ones are taken on my old camera, and I had this new camera EOS R50 by Canon, and it was too heavy, you know. I have been doing art so much in my past that and all kinds of different stuff. I used to actually lift weights also, and I have this pain in my fingers, and that's one of the reasons I'm doing this type of art at the moment, because I can no longer, you know, draw or paint or that kind of stuff. So I had to find a way to make art with my limitations, and that's why I'm doing this and why I discovered actually this way of making art. And we are actually going to play with the layers in these pictures. I really dig that one. And I'm going to say to you that this picture over here, this the most uppermost layer, this this is actually taken out of my pajama. Can you believe that? You can see a button over here. It's taken out of my freaking pajama, you know. Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's pretty funny. You can do all kinds of stuff. And if we make this layer like transparent like this, I could use that maybe to create something. But if we make this layer also pretty transparent, you know, we get this, and I like that. I like that, and we're gonna do all those layers into one. This is going to be pretty hazy, you know. I'm trying to make a few different type of styles, and this one is the hazy style. Now let's take all of those layers into one. Okay, so that's our picture at the moment, and we are. If you're thinking about what's this program, it's called PixLR, and it's a website. You know, it's not a program you install on your computer. I use Fedora Linux, and I can't use Photoshop, that kind of stuff, and I feel that for this type of like art making, this is the perfect program. You have so many presets over here that you can use. You can play around and fiddle around with this, and you're seeing something amazing happen over here. You're seeing how the picture kind of like is starting to come together, and as I said, you know, this is kind of a collaborative effort because I'm using, you know, high-end fashion clothing stuff, uh, and photography, and kind of you would never know how a picture like this was made. But for example, here, you know, the fabric of the pajama, you know, it's funny that kind of you sleep and you dream in a pajama, so it's kind of funny that it plays into this also. But you can see this pattern over here, and because it's made of, you know, this flannel type of cloth. This is the problem with my current camera. It kind of makes these little artifacts because it's not so high quality, but it gives the pictures kind of this grainy type of feel, and I like it. It gives the pictures a lot of character. I actually like this one. I actually like this really a lot, but I'm going to play around with the colors a bit over here, see if we can find a different color combination. And you can see that if I change the colors like this, the grain, it gets a little worse actually. And so I'm not going to do anything about that. I'm just going to leave it like that, and then I'm going to try if I could use this. I'm just looking at the composition. You know, we have a lot of we have this thing, you know, on the left, and then on the right it's kind of different, or I mean it's darker on the right. It's also a challenge to actually speak English while doing this. And yeah, so this is my new art style that I'm developing, and as I said, you know, it came about through my limitations in my hands. You know, even if I knew how to do digital art from scratch, I could not do it probably because of the pains in my hands, and I had to stop drawing and that kind of stuff. I had a habit of drawing a lot in the forests, you know, in Finlandia, and that kind of those kind of habits I had, but I had to stop all that, and I had this year of like trying to figure out how could I actually like continue on doing this stuff. And I tried I did photography, just, you know, nature type of photography, but I feel that, you know, you can distinguish yourself from any other artist by doing photography just the way it's usually done. Your photographs, even if they are pretty good, you know, they are going to be just photographs. They won't be anything else. And that's what I'm trying to break out of over here. I'm trying to take photography to the level of art. And I tried that EOS R50 camera, and I felt that it creates the results that I got from the camera weren't really what I was going for. I could have probably mastered the camera at some point, but the controls and the ergonomics of the camera were just too bad for me. I just couldn't use the thing, because I usually take hundreds of photos before I, you know, start editing them like this. And you can see that there's a lot of grain in this picture, and that's pretty bad. So I would really like need a new camera to make my art a bit better. But still, you know, we are progressing, and I feel that for example, here this layer is kind of interesting, but it lacks something in it. And if we go, for example, over here and take this one, it gets really like, you know, that kind of stuff. I'm meaning that I'm trying to go for more contrast over here, but I'm just not finding that, you know, that I'm just not finding the layers, the like the filters that would make this picture kind of sing, you know. That's what I'm trying to. That's interesting. But you know, you have all kinds of options in this, because if you do too much contrast, you get that black, you know. I would want to bring this stuff forward at the same time as like increasing the contrast over here. Maybe if I take this one and then increase the contrast like this, and decrease the white a bit like this, and then take this. Oh yeah, I have to change. I'm gonna change this program into English in the next. Oh yeah, that's it. I'm gonna change this program into English in the next video, so you can understand what these sliders are. But if you understand, you know, image editing at all, you understand what I'm doing, and you understand probably what those sliders mean by just looking at it. But that's the finished picture, I feel, and I'm pretty happy with that. I like that. That's interestingly cool. You know, So the fabric quality of the clothes that I was using, it affects the final picture. You can see the pattern over here. It's a flannel type of cloth, and you know, flannel is it's a warmer fabric, and it has this kind of, yeah, this type of shape instead of something else. Some clothes are more smooth, and some clothes are more rough, and that kind of stuff. So you could like take that materiality of the picture, do the art that you're trying to make. So now we are going to try to, as a final note or the final thing, create something completely different. You see how this filter over here, or maybe this one is also interesting, but I'm not gonna use it. This one is interesting because it kind of inverts the colors, and if you then go and you modify the colors like this, you can create something pretty interesting. And now if we go to these things, you know, this composition is good. You understand how when we invert the colors, the composition is, this color composition is good, you know. And why is it good? It's good because we have a good balance over here. The amount of white compared to this darker color is almost 50-50, you know. If I look at that, I think there's something good in this picture. I feel that it's one of the most important things if you are an artist, that you can find the good. If you are the type of person that always finds the bad in everything, it's kind of hard to make this, for example, art, because you have to find the good. And then you take, for example, that picture. This is kind of, you know, it's kind of rough. Let's make it a little darker, like that. Like, isn't that getting to a pretty expressive level? And then we make it a little bit colder, and you know, we keep it a little bit dark, and maybe we add also this kind of thing to it. Like, yeah, it looks like a painting. It looks like a painting, and it looks like it has been made, you know, with a roller, you know, a paint roller, you know, that type of thing. I used to actually do some abstract art with those, and the paint roller, you know, if you use like the type of if you use the type of maybe acrylic paints, you know, and a paint roller, you know, on a canvas, you get this kind of surface. So yeah, I feel that that's pretty interesting also. And now we're gonna change the colors and make it a little different, you know. Like, for example, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Let's take that and just, you know, fly with it. Make more contrast, you know. Like, look at that. It's the composition kind of broke down, you know, I feel, with that one. Let's flip it around and just, you know, look at it. I feel that looking at this stuff is really, I just enjoy it because it kind of puts you in a different mindset from the regular folks out there. You start to look at the world in abstract terms, you know. You're no longer interested in cars and lamps and, you know, that kind of stuff. You know, you're no longer interested in trees and that kind of stuff. You become this, you know, this abstract fucker, you know. You could say, you know, hey man, become an abstract kind of fucker, you know. I didn't know that, you know, this picture. I think we kind of found, you know, the way that it will work, you know. Let's go back. Let's go back in time a little bit and try to figure out, you know, I don't know, we are stuck, you know, but you know, the vignette we added, you know, maybe that would be also, well, Maybe that would be also an interesting, you know, color. And then you kind of, yeah, that's an interesting color also. But if we add some layers, if we add some, you know, interest in it, you know, with this stuff, you know, we try to, because we have this vignette over here, so it kind of leaves this looks bad, so we have to find a layer that kind of obscures that out of the picture. You can also look at pictures in black and white. It kind of makes you understand the composition a lot better. This, you know, if you have painted ever, you know the color lemon yellow. It's the brightest yellow there is, and we have this kind of darkest blue. You know, blue and yellow, they are opposites in the color wheel, or the color triangle. How you, whatever you know, the color triangle or the color wheel. You know, blue and yellow and orange and pink and white is yellow. You know, that kind of pastel yellow. I'm going to be teaching you in this video. Let's end with color combinations. Let's just paint on top of this a few color blocks. I'm going to teach you something about color over here. Let's go with red. What goes with red? Well, what goes with red? Well, you can use yellow. You get the yellow like that. What goes with yellow? Well, maybe an orange. Well, what goes with orange? Well, blue. You see, like if we take it like this, you see how those are kind of opposites. They work together. Then we take yellow like this. These work together. Those are the colors in the picture we have. Then if we take this kind of color, what works with this kind of pink? Well, maybe a turquoise like this. You see, these work together pretty nice. A purple. What works with purple? Well, for example, white, for example, black, that kind of stuff. Well, what would work with that combination? Well, yellow, you see. And if we add to that an orange and take it like that, that's also interesting. We are getting to the really abstract level. Well, what about green? What goes with green? Well, an orange, you know. An orange goes with green. Not maybe that kind of green, but if we make it a little bit darker, you understand. Now we're gonna talk about values. This is a gray, and this is a white, and this is a black, and this is the darkest black you can get, and this is kind of like darkest gray. And every color has a value. For example, this color we have over here, it's kind of the same value as this gray over here. It's close to that. And if we start going to the black and white, type of stuff, you see over here that every color in the end is a kind. Yeah, every color has a value. And if you understand these things and you start realizing that usually a good picture has extreme values combined. This one, if we take this picture over here and we look at it black and white, you understand that we have a darker gray, black, almost black. We have almost this like darker, like lighter gray. And usually if you have the extreme values of black and white, it might make the picture kind of, kind of interesting, but at the same time you usually get this high you usually get the like the widest highlights you get on the edges of the, for example, some leaves in a picture or something like that. You get them all like in these edges, you know. So now let's try once more to make this more interesting, and you see how like funny like funny that starts to look. And then we could use, for example, these kind of pictures, we could use them as a starting ground for something like a CD or a music album cover. And a music album cover is usually a rectangular shape, and we can crop this thing like this. And the main attraction in a picture should be in this rectangle you see in the middle. So for example, the composition should maybe be cut like that. I would leave that thing in and just go for that, you know. And maybe you could put some text over here. I'm just gonna write my name over here, Truth Detective, and we might, for example, write a name like maybe this. Turn it up, turn it like that, and that font doesn't really match. I'm going to say that if you want to use a picture that in a CD cover that has a lot of straight lines, you use straight fonts. And if you use and if you want, well, that's a bit greedy, you know, that's pretty funny. But if you use something that has a lot of these round lines, you use a font that kind of matches the thing. Turn it up. That's the name of our you know, that kind of stuff. That looks pretty interesting on its own already. I'm not professional in that kind of graphic design stuff. It's not what I'm going for in my life. I'm trying to make this kind of, you know, high art type of stuff. So that's a finished art piece, I feel, but this kind of distracts, I feel. Yeah. So maybe that's it. Let's just take what's like, which is better. um, I feel that this one is better. Yeah, this one is better. It feels better as a whole. So we are gonna try to find a good font over here and just sign this piece. And I have a link in the description to my portfolio. You can see that it's my own website I made, and you can see my best art over there. A lot of time has been put into this project, and what kind of font would work with this? Maybe that kind. It's kind of, maybe it's too finicky, maybe, I don't know. And we are gonna use this, same color. We're gonna use the same color, and we're gonna write Truth Detective over here. We might write it like that. It's interesting how that T and that R, you know, this expands the gap between the letters. So then we are gonna use as you can see, the font color is the same as that color block, and that makes it so that you kind of look like this. Maybe the font is too rectangular for this picture, it kind of looks a bit out of place. So we're gonna try to find a better one. That kind of font is pretty funny. You know, it's fun, you know. Just think about this in general, you know. Does what you are going for match everything else you are going for? If not, can you find something better? Like, can you find a better option? And if you have two things that don't match each other, like, what are you going to change? What are you gonna change? For example, I like this font. I like this font. It's this kind of typewriter thing. Have you actually ever written on a typewriter? I have written like I wrote like I think like 2000 pages on a typewriter. And typewriters are great, I mentioned my problems with my fingers nowadays, but I also wrote a lot with the keyboard, and I would say that that was more detrimental to my, you know, yeah. And weightlifting, that's bad. You shouldn't do weightlifting. Don't do that stuff if you want to be an artist. But in the end, I found my way, and I found my style, and I became the truth detective. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I feel that that's pretty an interesting picture. Let's take the shadow out. It doesn't belong in the picture. That's a finished art piece, and it looks like painted on a paint roller. I like it. Thanks for watching.